The HOA president thought she had won the moment the old juniper hit the ground. The chainsaw screamed, the trunk split, and a century-old tree collapsed into the pasture as if it had been erased on purpose. A few feet away, corporate Karen stood in a dark pink blazer, with a satisfied look that made the whole scene feel even colder. She believed she had just taken control of the road. She believed the man at the fence was too patient to matter. She believed the property line belonged to whoever was loud enough to claim it. She had no idea James had already decided that the fight would not end with another argument. It would end with paperwork, timing, and a sale that would change everything. James did not shout. He did not rush forward. He only watched the tree fall, then watched Karen drive away as if the story belonged to her. It didn't. It was only beginning. James was a 49-year-old white American rancher, tall and lean, with short black hair, a stoic face, and the kind of quiet discipline that made people mistake him for easy prey. He wore a black full-sleeve shirt, black jeans, and brown boots, and he moved through the ranch like someone who understood that patience was often more dangerous than anger. The land had belonged to his family for generations, and after his wife died, the ranch became the one place that still felt steady. He worked it, protected it, and kept his life simple. The HOA next door had always used a gravel shortcut across his property, and for years he tolerated it because the arrangement was civil and the yearly checks arrived on time. Then Karen Ashburn took over the board. She was polished, controlling, and always dressed in that dark pink blazer like she was campaigning for a role bigger than a neighborhood presidency. Her first move was to stop the courtesy payments. Her second was to act like James' patience meant surrender. The first real strike came on a Saturday morning when Karen brought in a landscaping crew and had them widen the road without permission. The work tore into the fence line, chewed up the shoulder, and destroyed the old juniper James' grandfather had planted decades earlier. That tree was not decoration. It was family memory rooted in the ground. Karen then pushed the insult further by having a stone sign installed near the entrance as if the road had always belonged to the HOA. It looked permanent. It looked official. It was meant to make James feel outnumbered. Then her attorney sent a letter claiming the road had become the HOA's by long use. That was the moment James opened the folder he had kept untouched for years. Inside were 14 years of checks, receipts, and signed acknowledgments showing the road had only ever been used with permission. The claim did not weaken. It collapsed. Karen simply had not seen it fall yet. Karen did not back off. She got louder. She framed James as difficult, selfish, and hostile to families, then tried to sell that version of him to anyone who would listen. Online, at meetings, and in neighborhood emails, she kept repeating the same polished version of the story while the truth sat in a folder on James' desk. Then the roadwork got sloppy. Fresh fill slid too close to a creek corridor, and the changes began creating problems no one could hide for long. James photographed everything, logged every truck, and kept every date in order. When inspectors started asking questions, Karen's confidence thinned, but her behavior hardened. She turned every setback into a performance and every correction into proof that she was being targeted. A few reasonable neighbors began to understand that the road had never been secure, but by then the pressure had already crossed from irritation into obsession. James kept his face calm and his evidence growing, and by nightfall the folders on his desk looked less like records and more like a verdict waiting for a date. The breaking point came when Karen tried to make the road look permanent in public. New signs went up, more claims were repeated, and the HOA acted as if a louder version of reality could replace the real one. James saw exactly what she was doing. She was not trying to solve a problem. She was trying to manufacture ownership. At that point, James realized the only way to end the fight was to remove the land itself from her reach. A local tribal land trust had been looking for a large contiguous parcel for restoration and cultural use, and James understood that his ranch could become something bigger than a family grievance. He made the decision quietly. He would sell most of the acreage and keep only a small homestead parcel for himself. The road, the claims, the fake certainty, and the public posturing all suddenly sat on ground that was no longer guaranteed to stay in hostile hands. Karen was still arguing with the past while James was already moving on to the next step. Closing day arrived in a way that made it even harder for Karen to process. James signed the final papers at the county office while the transfer was recorded and the land officially changed hands. The sale was clean, legal, and final. The road that served the subdivision no longer belonged to the man Karen had been pushing for months. Then the notice went out. The HOA was informed that the old unrecorded arrangement could not continue on the same terms and that access now required proper negotiation. That was the moment the whole balance shifted. Karen had spent so long acting like James had no options that she never considered what would happen if he simply sold the ground from under her. The realization hit all at once. The road was no longer her leverage. The land was no longer her assumption. The story had turned, and the side that had relied on pressure was now the side running out of time. The aftermath came fast. The HOA backed down. The stone monument came down, and the road was renamed under real legal terms instead of neighborhood fantasy. The Tribal Land Trust used the property for restoration, habitat work, and community programs, while the HOA was forced into a proper access agreement with yearly fees and stricter environmental rules. Karen stepped down under pressure. The neighborhood tone changed almost overnight. People who had followed her started apologizing, paying attention, and asking better questions. The creek buffer was repaired, the meadow was restored, and James' remaining homestead became peaceful again instead of contested ground. He kept his small piece of land. He kept his dignity. And he turned a petty HOA power grab into a lesson the whole county would remember. The real mistake Karen made was never about a road. It was believing that land has no memory. So if an HOA tried to take your access and call it community, would you fight them openly or sell the whole problem out from under them?